everybody, I'm Michael Monaco.
And I'm Bobby Salveson, and we are the Hazmat Guys, bringing you the knowledge and insight to make your job a little bit easier and safer. But before today's show, let's listen to our sponsors. From traditional headsets to in-ear communications, Cavcon offers rugged and reliable choices for any communication challenge and any harsh environment. Cavcon's award-winning Talk Through Your Ears technology is specifically designed for clear and consistent in-suit communications. Whether you're working from a quiet control room or responding to an incident in a full level A, Cavcom has the comm system that's right for you. Any suit, any respirator, any radio, any environment. Check them out at cavcominc.com, that's CAVCOMINC.com, or give them a call at 866-547-4988.
Now let's get into the show.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another phenomenal episode of the Hazmat Guys. And today we're going to be addressing a topic that me and Bob, we literally get inundated with these kinds of emails constantly. And we have absolutely no way to truly answer it because like so many other things in Hazmat, the it depends comes into play. And we're talking about emails in which people go, hey, what meter should I be getting? What meter should I be getting? And now we're in a completely different environment than a lot of other people. Some people are in the country. Some people are in urban areas. And we don't know what meter is best for you. We don't know what your budget is. We don't know the technology you already have. So we really can't answer these questions. But we have somebody that can.
Or even, like the buyer's remorse. You bought something and now you're like, oh, crap.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't ask the right questions. I didn't talk to the right people.
$15,000 door chock.
Right. And that's a cheap one.
Yes.
Yep.
So we brought on our very good friend, Eric Roy. Eric, do you want to describe yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I'm a PhD chemist. I've worked in R&D for hazmat meters. I've worked in product development, and now I work mostly with customers. So I've kind of run the whole gamut for a number of different companies. I'm not here on behalf of any company. I'm just here to kind of answer questions and give advice.
Yes. Yeah. But in full disclosure, there is a specific company that you do work for, but we are not going to be pushing that. This is really just talking about the meters and technologies that are out there. So full disclosure for those that are listening.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're dealing with these people. You've seen the problems, and we're really appreciative that you're going to come on and help others not make the same mistakes, pitfalls, whatever it might be. And at the end, I'd like to really get back into that whole worksheet thing that we were offline discussing. But as far as the what do you see as the biggest problem? Does it work? Does it not work? What do you think?
What we see is what happens a lot of times is we see people make decisions that just don't make sense.
Okay.
And we try and figure out why it doesn't make sense. And it's like, okay, what questions could they have asked where they would not have ended up making the wrong choice? And just to be clear, I mean, we're not talking about like winning versus losing or anything like that. From a sales perspective, it's just like, look, you bought the wrong thing. Like everyone in the industry kind of knows it, but it is what it is. Right. So what I just want to talk about a little bit today, on this idea is like, how do you set yourself up for an evaluation so you make the right purchasing decision? How to set up evaluations, the questions that you should be asking, the vendors, the salespeople, and their references, most importantly, just so you make sure that you're getting the right meter. Because just like you guys were talking about, like the best meter varies for everyone, depending on your situation, what else you guys got on the rig, what you're hoping for this to do and things like that. So, I mean, there's no magic wand out there. And until that happens, it's all about fit. Right. So that's, I think, what we're probably going to talk about today.
Right. That's interesting because we have it an awful lot. As far as what we come from is, people just buy meters because, I need a mercury meter. Yep. What's the mercury meter? Oh, that looks beautiful. Give me two of those.
Right. Oh, that has nice.
Right,
that has nice buttons.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right.
Buttons are important.
Yeah, buttons are very important. But do you think that the instructions are important, like the documentation, the support is important, or do you think that you've seen? Well, I don't know. I don't know if you've seen it or not. That a properly packaged thing reflects a properly made device, or do you see buyer beware where the packaging doesn't belay the device?
Yes and no. I mean, it really depends. You got to get it in your hands, and you just got to see it work. That's the bottom line. So, I mean, marketing can be this beautiful thing, but you don't want to be polishing up something that's not that good. I mean, you can have a really subpar product that's marketed beautifully, but as a user, it's a piece of garbage, or it doesn't work in your situation. So, I would say when you're looking at these things, like, take it into account, because you don't want to be going with someone that doesn't have enough budget to make something look reasonable.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like it's just polishing what's already there.
All right. So, as far as like the equipment actually working, like what prevents me and Bob from creating a meter and then just selling it to the world and claiming that it works and being like, hey, this thing is phenomenal? Like, is there, in my world, in my normal life, I can go to consumer products, I can go review stuff online. Like, how do I know whether something that is in front of me is truly going to work?
Well, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. There's absolutely nothing stopping you guys, starting like a Hazmat Guys meter brand or whatever. And, if it works, it works. Probably wouldn't right now without building out an engineering team, but, but there's really nothing stopping you from that. So, like, when I'm advising people on looking to determine if like the core technology itself works, what I tell them is ask the vendor for federally sponsored test results. Okay. And the reason why I say that is, like, anyone, if you guys were to start up your meter company or hypothetical meter company, you could find a third party to test it and generate a report that like says it does everything.
Yeah, it makes it
like
look
you
phenomenal.
Just invented the magic wand. Oh, absolutely. But the federal agencies tend to have more resources to actually look at this stuff. So what I tell people, like, ask the vendor, ask the manufacturer if they paid for that report to be generated. The federal government does do evaluations on what would be considered kind of the leading edge technologies that make their way into hazmat.
Okay.
So just see if those devices have been reviewed by the federal government. And if reports have been generated.
Is there a single place one could go to grab these reports, or is it really kind of all over the federal government and you have to ask that manufacturer for the specifications?
Yeah, you really do need to ask the manufacturer for it. I mean, there are some repositories, but if the repository only has Department of Defense stuff in it, and the device was actually tested by DHS, it wouldn't necessarily be found there. So if you just ask the manufacturer, I'm looking for federally sponsored test reports, and they'll be like, okay, here's the person you can talk to about that, and they'll give you that.
And if they say we don't have it, you just kind of shake their hand and say, well, have a good day.
I wouldn't say that, because there are everyone starts somewhere, right? So if you're a new company and there just hasn't been enough time for the federal government to evaluate it, I would just say use that as a piece of information. You just understand that you would be an early adopter at that stage, which some people are open to that, others are not. But at least you have that information so you can make a more informed decision.
All right, so the next question I'm going to ask you is, or ask of the vendor, is what is the best equipment for my specific situation, right? So there's different needs for urban versus suburban. There's confined space versus industry. What do you think about that? What would you start with that?
Product literature is a great place to start for that. So any vendor's going to have a brochure or some sort of a manual that they can hand out. And you just look at it, read it. It's going to make marketing claims, and that's fine. You're going to be evaluating those marketing claims later anyway. So as long as, that's how you're going to find that.
Okay.
Salespeople are actually really, really useful for this as well. I know everyone hates salespeople. Historically, they get a pretty bad rap. But, I think in the hazmat world in particular, you actually have some pretty good salespeople that just want the right tool to land in the right person's hands. So you can lean on your on whatever your rep or your distributor is for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that one. I have noticed that especially in this little community, salespeople are very quick to be like, yeah, listen, this piece of equipment isn't right for you. And not only that, but recommend a piece of equipment that is better for them, even if it's from a different manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Happens all the time. So, I mean, I've walked in with a salesperson like a distributor, and he walked away from a $250,000 sale because he said he told the customer that they'd be better served by a different product. So I mean, if you trust your salesperson, like, they can be a great resource for you.
Yes.
That's interesting. I like that. That's a classy
Yeah.
act, actually.
It is.
It's not just a classy act; it's a classy act that took money out of his pocket, which is pretty. I got a great deal of respect for that.
What would be the best way to ask this question? So, quite oftentimes, as the department that me and Bob are in, we just kind of get handed stuff continuously. How do we turn around if we're in a small department in which our funds are relatively limited, our times are relatively limited, people aren't coming knocking on our door to make those millions and millions of dollars in sales? How do you start the process of, I guess, evaluating a meter that you're looking at?
This is absolutely critical. So, I mean, what we always recommend is you kind of do a baby version of what, like, the federal agencies do. Knowing your situation, whether you're urban, rural, the other equipment that you have, you can be honest with yourself and come up with, like, unofficial, like, requirements for what you're hoping to get out of this meter.
When you say
and literally write them down.
When you say requirements, now I almost think of requirements like look at the stash of whatever I have and look at what my response area dictates. What are my blind spots?
Exactly. That's the perfect way to think about it, because, of course, like, if you already have a lot of equipment and you're just looking to plug a single hole, that's a totally different scenario than a hazmat team that's spinning up from ground zero.
Right.
So it's important, you want to make sure you get something that actually either fills a hole or satisfies your requirements.
So I mean, if you're a department that has, let's say, upgrading, or you're shifting focus or something like that, you're going to look at the spectrum of metering technology and say all the way on the parts per billion, is maybe IMS, let's say, and then you got the big chunky stuff like percentages, so like LEL, like heavy duty stuff, like big time numbers. How important is it to have a full cadre of meters that address 100% of the spectrum? Or do you think you can focus in on different spots?
I mean, that's really a question for you guys. There's no one that knows your use case better than you. So, I mean, any vendor that's telling you that you need certain things, like, I'd be a little bit wary of that. If they're not listening to you when you're talking about, okay, what kind of calls do you respond to, like, all the time?
Mm-hmm.
What are you responding to 90% of the time? You want to make sure that you're getting something that's going to cover you for that time if you don't already have it.
So you need to have a little data as far as what you are doing and what you would like to do.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about spending money here, right? A lot of money in a lot of cases. So, it's good to kind of have data going into that, just so you make sure that you're using the grant money or your local budget wisely.
And real data, not I don't know, this may sound stupid, but not emotional data, right? Not like,
not
I think, wow, we responded to this chlorine incident once. We have tons of chlorine incidents, and then when the data comes out, it turns out that you're mostly doing hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid. Like,
exactly.
You want the actual true data on what your team is doing.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, just take a day and figure it out. Like, you can do this. Data are there. You might as well just spend, like, I guess what I just want to get across to everyone is the upfront preparation should take longer than the actual evaluation itself. Because once you understand what it is you're looking to do, all you then need to do is make sure that, the products that you're evaluating satisfy that need.
Okay.
So it's
so let's say I'm in the market for a theoretical mercury meter, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Sure. Yep.
How would I go about finding the candidate companies? Do I just literally do a Google search? I mean,
Google search is a good place. If you have a distributor that you work with, that's a really good place. Literally ask, if you're talking to a vendor, say, who's your competition? They'll tell you.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not a secret.
No, because if they tell you that we have no competition and then you discover that they do, like, you just discovered they lied to you. So they're not going to, you know what I'm saying? So, like, these are discoverable things. So just take, you can figure this out in a Google search in 10 minutes to see who the major players are.
All right.
Um,
And how
yeah.
important is their sales claims? Like if I was to say, hey, listen, Mercury Meter X distributor, how much you do? Oh, I do $11 billion. That's also verifiable.
Yeah, I mean, you can, if a company makes a habit out of lying to you, it's probably not someone you're going to want to work with long term, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. How well? You know what? Let me.
yeah.
That adds another thing. How common is it? And I'm sure it's not very common. Does a salesman not portray the company's ethos? Let's say the guy's a sleazeball and the company is legit, and you go, wait a second, the company's not like this. I know it's not, but can you get around a salesman?
You can. What I would say is find a distributor as well. Like there's no rule that says that you can't work with a distributor that sells a product and the actual manufacturer itself. So you can kind of get two voices there, and you can get exposed to both the distributor and the manufacturer.
Interesting.
Is there? So what do you do? How do you go about? You're going to evaluate this meter. You call up a company, and they're like, "Yeah, sure. We'll send you this meter." Boom, they plop this meter down in front of you. No training. No, like, is there an expectation that you should be taught how to do this meter?
So yeah, this is if you have money and you have budget to buy something, or you have a grant that you feel really good about, the magic words are you go to the salesperson and say, I have a funded opportunity to purchase with this timeline. And that's going to kick everything off.
Okay.
And what that's going to do, you're going to get the attention of the manufacturers, you're going to get the attention of the distributor, and you're going to get the people that are actually going to train you how to use that meter so you can actually do an evaluation.
So you tell them you want the combo package at McDonald's right there.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
You've heard us talk about First Line Technologies' Dahlgren Decon solution and their FiberTech wipes and mitts. They've just come out with Enhanced Decon Systems Kit, which contains everything you need to quickly decontaminate 6 to 24 operators and all their gear in one fully equipped grab-it-and-go bag. This kit has been Hazmat team tested and approved, and it's the only full-team modified decon kit with the power of Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes to counter hundreds of known and emerging threats. The EDS kit is perfect for incidents where a small footprint, low logistics decontamination SOP is appropriate. Are you operating in a harsh environment? No problem. Whether it's minus 10 or 104 degrees F, Dahlgren Decon will maintain its effectiveness and can be easily applied to neutralize threats. The kit is stable in temperatures from minus 40 to 160 degrees F if you carry the RSDL with you. If you use all the consumables in the kit, unlike other rapid deployment kits, you do not need to buy a complete kit to resupply. Just purchase one of the First Line EDS replenishment packs and order just the elements you need. When ounces count and the clock is ticking, grab the EDS kit and go. Call the guys at First Line Technology for more information or a quote at 703-955-7510 or email them at sales@firstlinetech.com.
And so I get this meter, right? The company hopefully comes in and trains on it, and I got questions and stuff about it. Who's the best person to go to? Should I be going to like those quote unquote engineers that designed it? Should I be talking to the salespeople? Should I be talking to like a customer support? Where should I go to have my questions answered once I have the meter and I'm playing with it and I've got questions?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, I would talk to the person who trained you, like get their direct email address, because they're going to be the ones who are familiar with the training that they gave you, and they're going to understand the use case that you gave them. So get that person's phone number at the time of training, write it on the meter in Sharpie, and just say, okay, that's our number that we're going to call.
Right. Because, I mean, the SMEs, the salesmen are usually people that can just make a connection with the people that are buying.
Yep.
So they're ex-fire, they're ex-military, they're ex-police, whatever they might be. So they can start that conversation and build a relationship. The engineers are the nerds in the background that might not be able to relate.
I've been one of those nerds,
right?
Like before I started working with customers. I mean, I'm still a mega nerd. Let's be very clear here. But they don't speak your language. Like, for example, you might be like, oh, I need more resolution on this meter? What's like the resolution? They may be citing like full width, half max, like blah, 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 all this other stuff. And that's not the question that you're asking. You know, the same word means different things to two people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's typically very different between one of the nerds in the dark room and the actual, you know, feet on the street. So like talk to the SME, talk to like they at least speak the same language and they know most of kind of the tech questions. And if they don't, they know who that nerd is to go talk to. And then they can translate two ways. So that's really what you want to be doing. So, deal with your SME.
So they're like that.
Whoever that name. Yeah.
They're ahead. Like that guy in Office Space, right? Who talks to the customers and gives that information to the engineers. And there's a very good reason why the customers can't just talk directly to the engineers.
Oh, I have so many stories I could tell you about when you put a customer in touch with like an algorithm person, like someone with like an applied math background, and it's just like you just want to get popcorn when you're listening to that conversation. And then when you hang up that call, you just call a customer, you're like, I am so sorry. You just went through that while you're like giggling in the background about how it was like, I have just stories on stories about that. But yeah, you don't want to be talking to those people.
So, all right, I'm seeing this as like a chronological progression that we're having this conversation about. And I'm seeing now that we have our meter. I have it in my hands now. I have all the information. I've done my due diligence. I've done my data gathering. I've talked to the SMEs. Now comes where we kick the tires, we'll say.
Exactly.
Right.
I hate the term kick the tires.
I'm not. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But
kick the meter.
So you're evaluating. Yeah, you can kick the meter. You can be evaluating the meter.
But I've seen salesmen where they've literally thrown the meter across the room to prove it's tough. They always bring in those samples that are the ringers. How do you recommend navigating that?
Well, I mean, you just make sure that what you can do is get in writing at the time that you buy it that it's going to have the same performance that the thing that you buy is going to have the same performance as the one that you evaluated.
Well,
that kind of gets you around those party tricks. Yeah, can happen.
Except here's the kind of the nuance that me and Bob have run into so many times. Right? We get this meter. The guy comes in. He's got all this stuff, and it looks great. And then we start like grabbing stuff from the kitchen, and it looks great. And then we bring it out into the field, and we're sampling with substances that have mixed with stuff on the roadway or the dirt or this and that, and all of a sudden this phenomenal meter is completely worthless because we never deal with pure samples. And the way that our company's kind of started working around that is that when we get these interesting runs with unknown substance or things that are difficult for meters to read, we'll actually take a large sample back to the firehouse, and that becomes part of our, hey, we are going to test other meters in the firehouse and future meters off this product to see how it performs. We identify it, we label it, we end up knowing what it is, but we kind of have that, we call it like the anti-sales pitch cabinet.
Yep, absolutely. No, and I think you're bringing up a really good point here where it's like this idea of just like kicking the tires, going into the kitchen, grabbing stuff. I highly advise against that.
Okay.
Because if you're doing that, like you are just choosing those pure chemicals. But if you set up like scenarios, like you don't just treat the evaluation as kicking the tires, see if it works, blah, 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 blah. If you actually evaluate the meters, what you need to actually do beforehand is set up scenarios. And then you use the different meters, the different manufacturers come in, and they actually need to make it happen with that scenario.
All right, give me an example.
And that way,
give me an example.
So, for example, like we were doing an evaluation with a state, and they were just like, oh, we're going to set up 6 lanes. One is, a leaking drum. And they just, they're using benign chemicals for it, but they're just like, how did the different meters perform on this? And they just kind of like, what they did is they had the SMEs go in, use the meter, and try and address that scene. And if you could, that was like a +1 on the scorecard. If it just didn't work, then it's like, well, this may not be a great match, because there are different SOPs for different departments, right? Uh-huh. There's some people that bring meters downrange into the hot zone. There's other who sample and bring the sample to the meter. And you just got to make sure that the meter does what you want it to do, not what the salesperson claims that it can do.
I like it.
So is there ever can you over evaluate a meter? Like, can you get to the point where you're just running it through so many tests that you end up being like, this thing's garbage, because eventually you reach the point that you find it's like its barriers or its fail point?
I think that's a trap that some people get into, is they're just like, oh yeah, I just want to see if it works. All right. It's like, if the SME is saying it's not designed to do something, you're like, I just want to see if it works. And you just keep trying it, and just like those repeated failures doing things that it's not really supposed to do can often put kind of a sour taste in your mouth on it.
Right.
Whereas like the SME is kind of like, it was never intended to do that. Like if you're using a rad meter on mercury, like it's not going to work.
And I guess that's the whole comparing apples to apples, right? Like
exactly.
You got to make sure that what you're evaluating is what you're evaluating.
Exactly. You want to set up those scenarios in your head during the planning phase of the evaluation. I would argue you should set up those scenarios in your head before the first meter even shows up, because then you're able to put each meter that you're evaluating through the exact same steps, and you see which one actually performs. And if you create those scenarios based off like your actual requirements, you're going to end up with a tool that performs best for how you need it to.
Gotcha.
And not just like seeing like a party trick from the salesman or the SME that you're never going to actually encounter. We saw this a couple times. Like people were like, oh, well, it did this single grain, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, how would you have found that single grain? like that's a party trick.
Right.
That's not like, doesn't represent what you actually encounter. So I think that's why I say you should be putting more, if I'm advising a department, I say, put more time into planning the evaluation than the actual evaluation itself. Like, you're always going to get better results.
So I know we have every department has that guy, that loves to try to defeat it. Like, oh, here comes Joe,
Sure.
and Joe's gonna try to make this thing wrong because he's a pessimist. He's a half full, empty kind of guy.
Yep.
How do you get? I mean, do you need one guy to be present at all the different evaluations so that there's some levity and some consistency, or how do you set up the room?
Yeah, I call that person the referee. Like, that person is overseeing every single step of the evaluation, so he or she can make sure that it's not going off the rails.
Yeah, because that guy, like, Joe, he puts his thumb on the scale to either.
Well, sometimes we actually had a guy named Joe pee in a jar and was angry that it wasn't detecting his urine. It's like, well, it's not a urine detector.
Right.
His name was actually Joe.
There's like
I'm not kidding.
thousands of chemicals
Joe,
in that urine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's not, if you think a hazmat meter is going to do like urine analysis, that's an unrealistic expectation. That's not what it does. But yeah, no, I think it is important to have a referee there, because they can really make sure that as like the team is going through, putting it through its scenarios, that you're actually doing the same thing for each meter. So when you get to the end of it, you actually have data now. It's like, did it work? Yes. Did it work? And what you end up with is like, you get the meter that performed the best, not just like the one that shown in one single scenario that, like you had kind of said, like, you want to be doing it off real data, not emotion.
Right.
It's not always the coolest, flashiest thing that is the right tool for the job. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, sometimes simple is best.
Right. So, all right. So we're working it down to, we have a winner, right? And at some point, you're going to look at the references, right? You're going to talk to Department X or Unit B. How do you know? How do you sift through that stuff?
I have a little bit of a contrarian view on references. That's any manufacturer has happy references always. Like, I wouldn't even advise someone call them, because you have no idea if they got like some super sweet early adopter discount, or you have no idea the scenario. You often don't know what their use case is. Right. So and people have a hard time saying, I was wrong. So they're because they look like fools if they're like, oh yeah, like if you just put your neck on the line to buy something for $50,000, you're gonna try and to your leadership, you're gonna try and make yourself not look stupid.
Absolutely.
So like I would kind of stay away from those references. The reference that you want, go to the manufacturer, the distributor, and say, I want to talk to the people that had a really bad experience because I want to learn how the company actually made it right.
Okay.
And if any company tells you that everyone has just been really, really happy, they're lying to you. Every single one of us has, like FedEx dropped it out of a third floor like warehouse and it came broken. Like those things happen.
Okay.
And what I would argue is, how does that company actually respond to it? How and what is their track record on responding to it? And if that were to happen to you, would you be satisfied with what they did to make it right? Make right missions are a part of the business. I would say the person you want to talk to is someone who has gone through one of those. And, that's every company has them.
All right. So I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
As far as, and if not every metering technology has this, but how important is, I want to say like a full featured, I don't know how to say, reach back and updates and BIOS updates and flashes and stuff like that. How important is that to get in writing right up front? I mean, like, if you need this stuff, how do you need it?
I would say put it in writing, of course. That's going to kind of help you. But I would say during the evaluation, just call their reach back and see what happens.
Okay.
As one of those scenarios, just have it be something that the meter's not working on, and then you can actually call reach back and go through that reach back experience. That's what I would say.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Like, just don't listen to the. Oftentimes it's not usually the salesman or the person who's demoing or evaluating the instrument. They're probably not involved intimately in reach back. But if you go through the reach back process, you'll know exactly what that company's reach back experience is. Same thing with updates. Just be like, could you show me how to update the library?
Right.
Yeah, we can show you how to do that. And if that's not something that you would ever do, if it's like this giant, production to make it happen and you never do it, then it's like, okay, in effect, we don't have library updates because, like we're not going to actually do it. So yeah, definitely just go through it. They should be able to show you, right? They're the expert on their device, so they should be able to show you that.
All right, so give me a quick rundown on this spreadsheet that I've been hearing so much about.
Well, we're going to be making a worksheet that kind of has the chronological steps on really how to evaluate hazmat technology. And I guess you guys can it's going to walk you through everything we talked about today, the questions to ask, and really just some space to actually show the results of your evaluation. And it's really just going to kind of be a nice checklist. So, it'll just give you a nice framework for you to evaluate equipment. Now, of course, everyone's scenario is different, but I think this is going to be a really nice document that'll be a really nice reference.
That's awesome. It's going to be really helpful.
Yeah.
And where would we be able to find it? Where are we getting it?
I'm assuming on our website, right? We should be able to post it on with this episode, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could do that.
Sweet.
He's going to have it done in like an hour.
Right.
No, we're going to take some time. We're going to really put some effort.
Yeah, we're going to do a good job on this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm kind of excited for that.
Great.
So, if we have any more questions or thoughts, contact us and we'll pass it along to Eric. I don't know. What else do you see happening at that? Anything else we got to talk about?
No, I mean, I think we got a pretty good framework, and if they have specific questions, they can get to me through y'all, and
most awesome, man.
Yeah. Thank you
so much.
Tremendous amount. I have to say, even I walked away with stuff. The whole idea of preparing a scenario ahead of time and then running your equipment through standardized scenarios, that is an absolutely brilliant idea.
it's so important, because otherwise you might be making, a decision based off whether you're grumpy that day or not.
Right,
And we all do it, right? And unless you write stuff down, like, you may not remember that you're kind of having a rough morning or whatever. It happens to all of us.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll catch you soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
If you have a moment, please head over to iTunes and leave us a positive review. And don't forget to check out the book, National Emergency Response Hazmat Drills, or NERD, on Amazon.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Hazmat Guys.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at the Hazmat Guys. And take a moment to call our comment hotline at 843-628-1484 and go to www.thehazmatguys.com and sign up for the newsletter.
We seriously look forward to your feedback about any of the information provided, and we also want to hear about interesting incidents that you were a part of. So you can send us a note at feedback@thehazmatguys.com. And remember, any of the information that you share with us, if we put it on air, can always remain anonymous.
Remember, guys, don't just get on the job. Get into the job.